Hi everyone, I'm Anthony. Welcome to Starlight Activation. So for a while, I've been wanting to go back to the very beginning of when I first started getting channeled messages, and I was getting what seemed like signs, but I didn't know to trust them yet because my intuition, I wasn't always trusting my intuition in the very beginning. Sometimes I've not done what my intuition has told me to do, and I've regretted it. So I've learned my lesson the hard way about that. But there's two really particular stories that I wanted to share with you, which just I think are beautiful. And to kind of give you an idea of how you may receive signs, you may see them as coincidence. And I've talked before about, how you can see repetitive numbers, you can see signs, you can get downloads like music lyrics or dreams or different things to give you information or to show you're on the right path. Now, when I first started, and now remember, it's only not even been 6 months for me. I mean, I think I'm at month 5 right now. So when this dates back to in May of 2025, when I just started waking up. And it wasn't at the beginning of May, it was at the end of May. It was actually May the 22nd. And so that's when I first started getting popped up into my YouTube feed about the first channeled messages that were coming through, information that sometimes it was the thumbnail for the video and sometimes it was the person on the video. Because you know how when you hover over a video on your television, it'll give you the first few seconds and you can hear the narrator's voice or the person who is speaking. Sometimes it's through the voice that I would feel a connection. I'd feel like my intuition would tell me something and I would either watch it or I would, move on. Well, fortunately, I started watching and found a couple of people right away that I started following. And this is no big secret. I've told you guys this on several of our videos that we've been talking about. What I wanted to do is go back and share with you two really cool stories about where something happened in a reading that came out, and right after that I saw the sign, and it was no coincidence. Okay, I'm just going to say that right now. It was divine timing. So in one of my very, very early readings, when I was just getting general information about being a light worker, I hadn't even come to terms yet. Was that really my mission? Was I really a light worker? Could I really have these gifts that the channelers were talking about when they were talking to the collective? And I am going to do an entire video about the gifts that I do possess, that I don't wholeheartedly talk about all the time, because I do want to remain humble in my gifts, because I don't want to take them for granted. And I know that everything comes from the divine. And I want to remain humble. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm this. No, for me, it's just the opposite. And I've had this discussion with my guides many, many, many times about my hesitant about showing up front and foremost saying, oh yeah, I can do that. No, that's that just does not jive with me. For some reason, I have a hard time dealing with that. I make sure that I'm pretty positive I can do something before I'm going to put it out there on a video that says, oh yeah, I can do that. No, probably can't do that. Maybe can't do that. Maybe I can do that and I'm just not confident enough yet. That could be part of it as well. So there was one in particular that was talking about, and this is right when these happened 2 days apart from each other. And I had family from out of state, a niece and a nephew that were coming to stay that are adults. And there's one thing in my family that we love doing. We love going thrifting. Now, I have drugged my family around to go thrifting just because of my hobbies in aquascaping. Because in aquascaping, I'm always looking for something for a terrarium to build a terrarium out of. And I was doing terrarium projects where I would do a challenge on one of my videos and say, okay, we're going to go to a thrift store and we can only spend $3. Okay, well, I had to go to a thrift store and I had to find things that were $3. Now, sometimes I had to ask, like especially Goodwill, could they come down on their pricing? Or if I bought like 5 things, could they average the pricing out to be $3 if they were more? And they have done it every single time. They've been really, really sweet to me because I've explained that I have a channel and I'm on a budget. and that I'm trying to show how you can reclaim materials and use them for current projects. So my family is used to hanging out with me in the thrift stores, and my family all loves to go thrifting. I have a ton of nieces, more nieces than nephews, and they love to go clothes shopping. They love vintage clothing or whatever they can find. And so that bores me. So there better be some really good housewares and stuff like that for me to look at, because I get bored at looking at clothing. As a side note, I started my professional adult career, my very first job when I was 19 in women's couture. I know clothes. I know how to dress a woman. I know high-end designers. So looking for clothes, I've been there and done that. That doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. But anyway, so there was this one channeled message that came through that talked about the owl is going to be very significant for you. So look for a sign or synchronicities around an owl. Okay, so we are out thrifting one day, an entire day. We go all over the metropolitan city, and we're hitting one place after another after another. And it's not wearing us out. That gives us energy. We just love doing it. So we're at one particular place that I have never been that was really, really large. It had a huge houseware section. So my nieces all ran off into the clothing section. And my nephew, Fernando, he actually was going into the housewares with me. So I spot something that looked really, really pretty down an aisle. It was blue and white porcelain. Now, okay, I am a former designer. That should tell you enough right there. So I'm picky. So as a former designer, I'm used to working with, when I purchase something, it needs to be quality and it needs to serve a purpose, especially if I'm working with like someone I know and I'm trying to help pull a room together. My favorite thing to do is to reuse materials that's already in someone's home. I just have an eye for aesthetics because I guess I've always had that, but that is a Sirian trait, is an eye for aesthetics. I can go into someone's place and rearrange it totally, and they won't believe it's the same room, and we won't do anything. We'll do any painting, we'll do any remodeling. I'll just reallocate things from one room to another to where it has a better flow. So when I'm looking for something in housewares, I'm super picky, and I look for quality merchandise. So I spot this blue and white object down an aisle, and I'm talking to Fernando, and I'm like, oh, there's something down there I'm really going to take a look at. It doesn't look, this is going to sound bad. It doesn't look like it belongs at Goodwill. It looked really too nice. And because you know how Goodwill is. I mean, they've got some crappy stuff there. So I walk down, and it's a round object, which is one of the things, and it's very smooth. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I turned it around. It was an owl. This was the day after I was told about an owl being significant. And I brought the owl here. So here's the little dude. He is adorable. Okay, this thing was $4, has not a scratch on it. No scratch, no chip, nothing. Adorable, adorable, adorable. So yes, I thought this was beautiful. So this is what I saw from behind, sitting down a shelf. And I thought it was some type of a dish standing up on a plate. But when I got closer to it, I was like, I could not believe it was an owl. I was freaking out because just 24 hours earlier, I had been told to look for an owl. So I pulled up significance for the owl. When I was reading the cards, I knew how to read them and how it related to the person I was reading it to. So knowledge appeared to me as I needed it, which was beautiful. The readings were amazing. So I'm on my way back home. Now they're staying in one part of town. I'm staying in another part of town. We're like 40 minutes apart from each other. I pull up into my complex. Mind you, this is just after I've had my afternoon in the park and talking about Buddha. I pass my garbage dumpsters that's on the way into my section of my complex. And there's this little off-white statue of a Buddha sitting right in front of the dumpster. I slam on my brakes. I'm looking at it and I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. It's an off-white Buddha. I was like, oh my God. I go back to my phone car to get my phone. I take a quick snapshot and a lady pulls up right behind me. She's like, oh, I was just going to get that. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm taking it. And she smiled, well, then it's meant for you. And so she starts to pull on by. Well, I grabbed the statue and I ran after her. I was like, no, you don't understand. My nephew and I have been talking about Buddha. And I said, this little statue is right here. This is exactly what I need. And she goes, then that's God's sign. It's meant to be for you. And so we hugged. And then I bring the statue in, and here's the statue. Nice, light color, like almost a white, but like a cream white, with the protection hand. Now, he has 3 fingers that had been broken off, which mean nothing to me. That's amazing that I found him. And I wanted to pull up and give you the description. So let me get to Buddha's little page. Okay, so the Buddha statue with one hand up is known as, I'm going to try and pronounce this, Abhaya Mudra, maybe. It signifies fearlessness, protection, and peace. The right hand is raised with the palm facing outward. The gesture means have no fear. Okay, I love that, have no fear. And reassures followers of Buddha's protection and blessing. The mudra also symbolizes the Buddha's spiritual power and his ability to bring calm, as told in the story of him calming a charging elephant. And also, there's other meanings, dispelling fear. The gesture is a symbolic reassurance to followers, reminding them that they can face life's challenges with inner peace and courage. That's beautiful right there. That is just more confirmation that I was on the right track. Protection and peace. It represents a peaceful and friendly gesture, open to all and free from any threat. Blessing and love kindness. It's a gesture of blessing, sending loving kindness and protection to those who view it. Spiritual power. It also signifies the spiritual power of the Buddha to act with compassion and wisdom, even in the face of danger. And even in the face of danger really is kind of significant, because I'm not going to say that if you're emerging as a light worker, you're not going to face some forms of danger or ridicule or harassment from people in your close circle that are not going to understand what you're talking about and why you're talking about it. They're not going to understand why you're changing and the differences in maybe your attitude, especially around your closest friends and family, because you do want to be, like I did, you want to be honest with them. Let me finish the Buddha, then I'll tell you my story about how I handle that. Because there's more when we get to the color. So the off-white Buddha symbolizes purity, spiritual awakening, oh my gosh, there you go, clarity, and the absence of delusion. So once again, that's reaffirming the owl, that you're awakening to seeing things that you did not see before. You're seeing beyond the deception. White represents an unblemished state of mind and body, free from defilement and mental fog, which is a key goal in the Buddhist practice. So a mental fog is what I believe I was under when I was being bound to this family. It also spiritual awakening and enlightenment. It symbolizes the luminous mind and the ultimate goal of achieving nirvana, which is enlightenment. In some tradition, white is the color of learning and knowledge associated with those who embody the transformations of ignorance into wisdom. I can definitely agree with that, because if you're undisclosed to things going on in your own life, and then you become exposed to them, you become wise to them. When you become wise to them, then you can learn how to protect yourself from that. The white statue is often chosen to evoke a sense of calm and tranquility in a meditation space or a home. Yes, I meditate right here in the studio. The Buddha is across the room. White is also associated with new beginnings and the potential for growth and transformation. I think I love that one the best, because that's what I've been going through. I have been actively working to pull away things that no longer serve me in my life, whether it's fear, doubt, broken records, toxic information. I'm trying to pull all that out of my realm and give it back to the universe. And part of that means I'm clearing the space for a new, more enlightened Anthony, instead of the one I was more in my ego. The off-white color would naturally fall under these interpretations, as it is a close variation of pure white. The general consensus across various Buddhist traditions is the color symbolism is important and can enhance the spiritual experience of the atmosphere of the sacred space. This space here is sacred to me. So these two innocent looking little statues, which one was free at the trash and one cost $4, may appear insignificant, but their significance could not be any less greater than if it came right from the divine trying to tell me all these things, or one of my guides trying to impass all this information and knowledge to me. All I had to do was find them, bring them in, cleanse them, and then find out what their meaning was. And then their meaning even meant more to me. The coloring meant more to me. The knowledge that it ushered into my life was a mountain of information that I would not have gotten otherwise. So sometimes this is how you will get information from your guides. They will tip you off to something, and then you will find it, and you will know that it's meant for you. Now, I'm not saying go out and buy everything somebody says. Buy what resonates with you. These things were on my mind and in my intuition. So I knew when I saw them, I was guided. So that's the direction I always go. I don't advocate for just running out there and just buying everything, thinking that's going to be the fix to it, because it's not. You've got to do the work with it as well. Now, getting back to how you handle when you disclose information that's new to you. And I did it just like this. When all my family was here during the vacation stay, I just let them have it. I just literally said, the old me is dead. I'm not apologizing for anything from now on. I am who I am. You either deal with it or you don't deal with it. And I said, this is how it is. And I started going in and listing everything I knew that was changing about myself. And that meant being a light worker. I came out to my family. Now, were they a little shocked? Yes. Have things since then happened that they do not doubt me now? Oh, they didn't doubt me for long, because things did start happening. And I've started working with the individual members of my family to get them to a higher plane. Not that I may be successful, but I'm working on them individually at their own different pace. So you can do this, and I do this at work. I'm very open and honest when I start talking to a coworker that, you know what, I'm very spiritual. I have some type of a gift that helps me be a communicator. and this is what I believe. And I just kind of lay it on the line, whatever is appropriate for the conversation that we're having. I've received no pushback. What I have received is the things that have just opened my eyes up, and I've just been blown away by the number of flight attendants that I have flown with and worked with that are just as spiritual as I am. Maybe not on a mission like I'm on, but are highly spiritual. And they will talk about it. They will open up about it. It's something that I was kind of nervous about talking about, just like I was on my aquascaping channel when I started it. I was guided to come out spiritually in my aquascaping channel. So I started in little steps until finally I just came right out and said, look, everything is divinely guided. If you're not into that, there's a ton of other channels out there you can go to. You can get the same information. I'm not going to tell you anything different that somebody else is going to tell you. But I'm going to tell you from my standpoint, my builds, my terrariums, my tanks are all divinely guided. And I'm seeing miracles with my shrimp and my tanks because of it. Because I am speaking my truth, standing in my power, and on my highest and my best path forward. You guys have heard me say this before, that that's my goal. And my goal, if I help just one person. So if you're the one person listening to this message and you think you might have a mission, or you don't know why you're different than anyone else maybe in your family, start looking at the signs that are out there and don't blow them off as just, oh, that's coincidence, or that just happened, or whatever. Things happen for a reason, and just open up your mind to seeing the possibility out there, and then start doing your own research. When you start doing your own research, whatever you resonate with, just start with that. And I will say, if you're going to look online, like I will pose questions online like crazy, but I only do it on Google AI. I was using Chat GPT, and I'm going to tell you that I was using it for my aquascaping, and I was getting very detailed information about water parameters, and I was being led down the wrong road. Because when I would ask the same question on Google AI, I got a completely different answer, a more rounded answer. And I'm not sure why, but I have given up using ChatGPT because it was giving me too limited, too narrow of water parameters. What I'm using now, I've been using since switching over to Google AI, and I've noticed a major difference. So I've started going to Google AI where all the questions I pose. If you still want to use chat, the one thing I don't like about chat, it doesn't always give you all the information right away. It breadcrumbs you. It's basically what it does, because it wants you to use up your free questions, so you have to pay a subscription, and I've never had a subscription for them. But what you can do is you can try to ask a very detailed question, multiple questions in one question, and then see what answers you get. But I will tell you, I always get a much better answer when I pose both questions on either site. I always get a much better answer out of Google AI. And Bing sucks. I don't even use them for a question because theirs is horrible. So that's just my 2 cents about where, if you're going to go to the internet, because that's what we do. The internet is our encyclopedia. And so when you're going to go to your encyclopedia, don't go to the off-brand. In this case, I'm going to say go to Google because it's giving me the best answers by far. And I'm using it in both of my channels. So when I'm looking up something to tell you guys on this channel, yes, I'm making sure that my answers are correct, that the information I want to provide, I'm double checking it just to make sure I'm giving you the right information out there. So I hope this has resonated with someone. I hope that it opens up your eyes to like, okay, maybe that wasn't coincidence. Maybe I should look at that again. Maybe I should look into why I feel this way. Maybe I should look into why I'm thinking like this, or why I'm sort of changed my position on something. Signs and synchronicities, we just did a video about that. This one is all about, is it coincidence or is it divine timing? Someone might be trying to get your attention, and it might be the divine. So don't freak out. Yes, you're worth it. That's one thing I want to say as well. So As always, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. If you have something specific you would like to bring up, just send me a message. And until either you see me in the skies as my flight attendant or on the next video update, I'm wishing you nothing but love and light. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.